7 bourbon brands in every British supermarket. Whiskies people trust. Jack Daniel's That's Not Bourbon, chemicals banned in America, and the 2 bottles actually worth buying. Number 1. Jack Daniel's. Tennessee whiskey marketed as premium. Contains caramel colouring unverified, linked to cancer risk. Jack Daniel's dominates British bars. Black label, rock and roll image. But it's not bourbon and contains chemicals. Jack Daniel's isn't bourbon, it's Tennessee whiskey. The difference? Charcoal filtering called Lincoln County process. Removes flavour compounds that make bourbon distinctive. Contains caramel colouring 150A. Added to make whiskey look older and more premium than it is. 150A is produced using ammonia. Creates 4-methylimidazole, a compound classified as possibly carcinogenic. European Food Safety Authority investigated E150A. Found potential health concerns, but it remains legal in low doses. You're drinking it in every glass of Jack Daniel's. Owned by Brown-Forman, American. Corporation worth $10 billion. Tennessee Heritage is marketing. Production is massive industrial scale. Black label creates premium perception. But Old No. 7 is entry-level whiskey aged minimum 4 years. Quality bourbon ages 8 to 12 years. You're paying premium prices for young whiskey with added colouring. In 2024, reduced bottles from 1 litre to 700 ml in some formats. Same price. Less whiskey. Shrinkflation while profits soar. Number 2. Jim Beam. America's best-selling bourbon. Accelerated aging and wood chips. Jim Beam uses accelerated aging. Instead of patient barrel aging, they use temperature cycling and wood chip infusion. Creates whiskey faster with harsh, unrefined flavours. Mash bill is 75% corn. Legal minimum is 51%. Maximum corn because it's cheapest. Less rye, less barley, less complexity. Drinking corn liquor with minimal character. Beam Suntory, Japanese-American conglomerate, owns it. Since acquisition, quality declined while production increased. Contains caramel colouring, E150A. Same cancer-linked compound as Jack Daniel's, added to make young whiskey look mature. In 2019, massive warehouse fire dumped 45,000 barrels into Kentucky River. Fish died, water contaminated. Environmental disaster from industrial-scale production. Plastic bottle caps use BPA liners, can leach into whiskey when stored warm, potentially drinking endocrine disruptors. Number 3. Maker's Mark. Red wax seal creating artisanal image. Industrial production using wheat instead of rye. Maker's Mark positions as craft bourbon. Hand-dipped red wax. Premium pricing. Small batch image. All marketing. Uses wheat instead of rye in mash bill. Wheat is cheaper than rye. Produces softer, less complex flavor. Marketed as smooth. Actually just less interesting. Owned by Beam Suntory. Same corporate owner as Jim Beam. Same profit-focused model. Craft image is fraud. In 2013, announced they'd reduce alcohol from 45% to 42% to meet demand. After backlash, reverse decision. But intent was clear. Weaken product, maintain pricing. Uses charcoal filtration to remove color and flavor. Then adds back caramel coloring E150A for artificial age appearance. Filtered whiskey with added chemicals. Bottles hand-dipped in wax. Costs money. Cost comes from cheaper ingredients and faster aging. Paying for decorative wax instead of quality whiskey. Number 4. Wild Turkey. Marketed as authentic Kentucky bourbon. Campari Group Italian corporation cutting costs. Wild Turkey sells as real Kentucky bourbon. But since Italian acquisition, everything changed. Campari bought Wild Turkey in 2009. Quality declined, prices increased. Bourbon is younger, flavors harsher. Optimized for Italian corporate profits. Wild Turkey 81 is main UK product. 41.5% alcohol, low for bourbon. Quality bourbons are 45 to 50%. Weaker whiskey at premium prices. Aging time reduced, used to age 6 to 8 years. Now younger, sometimes 4 years. Don't disclose age on labels. That's suspicious. Contains caramel coloring and glycerin for artificial smoothness. Real bourbon gets smoothness from aging. Number 5. Bulleit Bourbon. Hipster branding, hiding corporate ownership and slave labor history. Bulleit exploded in UK bars. Orange label, frontier imagery. craft aesthetic, completely fake. Owned by Diageo, £80 billion conglomerate, same corporation as Guinness. Small batch is marketing fiction. Worse. In 2017, founder's daughter exposed family's history of using slave labor on Kentucky properties. Frontier story deliberately omits enslaved people who built the brand. Diageo removed founder from marketing, but continues profiting from brand built on slavery while selling frontier mythology. Isn't even distilled by Bullet. Contract distilled at massive industrial facilities. Handcrafted is fiction. High rye marketed as special. It's not. Rye is cheaper than quality corn and barley. Premium prices for cost-cutting. Number 6. Four Roses, small batch. Japanese-owned bourbon using yellow label. Confusion. Four Roses has romantic branding, but owned by Kirin Japanese Beverage Corporation. Produces multiple products at vastly different quality. Yellow label is bottom tier, small batch is mid-tier. UK retailers display together, creating confusion. Many buyers grab yellow label thinking they're getting small batch quality. Yellow label costs £25. Small batch costs $35. Shelf placement makes them appear equivalent. Uses caramel colouring. E150A across all products. Even premium single barrel contains added colouring. Since Kirin acquisition, production increased while aging decreased. Optimized for Japanese corporate profits. Number 7. Evan Williams. Cheapest bourbon on British shelves. Industrial grain alcohol with bourbon flavouring. Evan Williams sells for £18 to £20. Suspiciously cheap. Real bourbon costs significantly more to produce properly. Owned by Heaven Hill, largest family-owned distillery. But family-owned doesn't mean craft. Massive industrial facilities producing millions of gallons. Black label aged only 4 years. Legal minimum. No additional maturation. Rush to market. Uses lowest quality corn from industrial farms. Maximum pesticides. Minimal standards. Everything sourced on price, not quality. Contains caramel colouring, glycerin and additives to mask young, harsh flavours. In 2020, Heaven Hill workers struck over safety and pay. Strike lasted months. Workers described dangerous conditions, drinking bourbon made by exploited workers in unsafe facilities. Now the two you should actually drink. Number 1. Buffalo Trace. Kentucky bourbon aged honestly without additives. Buffalo Trace is independently owned by Sazerac Company. Family controlled. Profits go back into production. Ages minimum 8 years. No additives, no caramel colouring. What you taste is actual bourbon, not chemicals. Maintains traditional methods. Copper pot stills. Slow fermentation. Patient aging in climate-controlled warehouses. Costs £30 to £35 in UK. Same price as inferior corporate bourbons. But genuine Kentucky bourbon, made right. Balanced mash bill. 10% rye, reasonable corn, quality barley. Complex flavour from actual aging. Number 2. Woodford Reserve. Premium bourbon maintaining standards despite ownership concerns. Owned by Brown-Forman, same corporation as Jack Daniels. Concerning, large corporations cut costs. However, Woodford Reserve has maintained quality so far. Aged minimum 7 years. Copper, pot stills. Small batch production. Contains no additives or caramel colouring. Genuine aged whiskey costs £35 and £40 in UK. Premium pricing but justified by quality. Smooth because of proper aging, not added glycerin. Warning: Brown-Forman is massive corporation. Watch for quality decline. If they add caramel colouring or reduce age, Woodford Reserve becomes another Jack Daniels. For now, remains legitimate premium bourbon.